Hey everyone, Kevin Lewis here with Home Life Benchmark Realty, and it's time for your June 2022 Fraser Valley Real Estate Market Update. In May 2022, we saw for the first time since September 2019, we saw prices across the board for average prices actually come down for the first time. Now, this isn't overly surprising if you look at the level of sales activity we've had over the last couple of months that has been dwindling, and our inventory has been building over time, allowing more options for buyers. You add that with the addition of interest rates consistently rising and rising fairly quickly, and the pandemic pretty well being over, and the shift to work from home lifestyle has kind of gone away for the most part. So with all of that, we're seeing the market really start to transition into a more balanced market. Technically, we're still in a seller's market, more on that in a little bit, but we are seeing that transition happen, and for the first time in a few years, we've actually seen prices come down. In the past couple of months, I've been predicting that prices will stabilize and potentially come down in the near future. They have come down a little bit sooner than I kind of expected them to. However, we also saw the total sales numbers in April and March, for that matter, as well as May, drop to quite a bit below where I would have expected them to see based on my predictions just a few months ago. However, as I just mentioned, with everything that we see going on and all of the numbers adding up, seeing the prices begin to drop is not really cause for panic, and it's pretty well expected with the level of activity we've seen recently. May 2022 saw 17% fewer sales than we saw in April 2022. Now, this has only happened one time in the last 10 years, and that was back in 2016 when April outperformed May. It's just the way our market works. As we get further into spring, more and more sales tend to happen, and we tend to see very busy Mays for total sales numbers, busier than that of April. Now, we already know April was dwindling sales and was actually less than March. Now, May being less than April is really bringing the sales down to unexpected low number of sales for the month of May. So low, in fact, we're actually 28% fewer sales than the 10-year average, whereas April was still actually, I don't remember the exact number, but we were above the 10-year average. So we're transitioning quite hard if you look at things on a month-to-month for the total number of sales that are actually happening. And the market is pretty well grinding to a halt for the most part. Don't expect to break any records if you're listing your house anytime soon. However, I would caveat that with, just because you're not breaking records, you're still making a whole lot more money on the sale of your house than you would have even a year ago, despite the fact we're seeing prices come down in the very short term. And again, those decreases in prices, across the board, we're looking less than 2% on average. And that's coming off of some of the highest prices, which we already know coming down a little bit is more so the market balancing out. It's going to waver up and down for the next couple of months as prices really stabilize and fall into where they should be. So I already touched on it a little bit, but with the total number of listings we have available, we've seen a big shift from being in the biggest listing deficit we've ever seen back in February and March for some of it, to being back to pretty well average numbers for the month of May for total inventory. May 2020 saw 3,400 new listings, which is right around average for the month, and bringing the total number of active listings up to about 5,600 in the Fraser Valley. Now, these are certainly more reasonable numbers than what we've been looking at for the last few months. And it's really, while it's not necessarily better for sellers because they're not selling for multiple offers in 1 week, pretty much guaranteed, if we price the homes accordingly, and that price is still, like I say, going to be quite a bit higher than it would have been just a year ago. So you've already done yourself a favor by waiting this long. Yeah, you're not getting that record sale. You're getting a little bit less than you would have if you sold 3 months ago. But we can't go back in time. So the only thing we can do is look forward and say, well, what's the market doing? And as of right now, it looks like things are still on their way down. I do think we're going to see that stabilize. And I think where the prices are today is pretty close to where they're going to end up settling. Maybe it goes down a little bit more. Or who knows, maybe more buyers come out and pick up the sales activity and prices go up a little bit for another couple months here. Anything really is possible in real estate. I don't predict the prices going up in the short term, but we would know that quite quickly if we think that's going to happen. And by July's newsletter, I could be saying a different story here, but my prediction is that we're going to see this level of activity sort of balance off and get into a more balanced type of market. Speaking of a balanced market, one of the best metrics to measure the balance in a market is the sales to active ratio, which is the number of total sales in a given month compares to the total active listings to choose from in that month, and that gives us our sales to active ratio. Another way to look at this is how many homes out of 100 are actually selling in a given month. Now, the Fraser Valley Board defines anything between 12 and 20% as a balanced market. Anything above 20% is a seller's market, and anything below 12% is a buyer's market. Now, we've barely ever dipped into a buyer's market in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years, I think we've had 1 month of technically a buyer's market, and that was only in apartments, not in all property types. But across the board, we're seeing that sales to active ratio come much closer to that balanced number. Technically, we still are in a seller's market. According to this metric alone, I would say that the market has really shifted to more of a balanced market in the short term, but we're just dealing with this definition currently. Detached homes, 23 out of 100 homes sold in the month of May, 30 out of 100 townhomes sold, and 51 out of 100 condos were selling. So condos are still quite active. That probably has a lot to do with the overall affordability of everything. And detached being the most expensive has slowed the most for the total number of sales, or for the active ratio. However, all three categories are still in that seller's market. Like I say, the feel of it is a more balanced feel, and we're substantially more balanced than we were just a couple months ago when some of those parts were 99. We even had a couple months where we were actually above 100%. So for every new listing that came on the market, the old listings were selling faster than new ones were coming up. And that's where we got to that listing deficit that we were seeing throughout the winter and early spring. So overall, what does all of this mean for you? Well, it really depends on what your next move is going to look like. If you're looking to sell your current home and move to a larger home, as I've said many, many times before, it's all relative. Now, you may want to actually move a little sooner and get things going a little bit quicker, as we do know interest rates are rising. And with every little bit that the money comes off of your purchase price on a home, but your interest rates go up, your monthly payments will actually stay the same or potentially be a little bit higher despite paying an overall lower price for the home. So while home price is one number to look at, it's not the total picture of what your actual monthly burden on your costs will be. It's calculated based on the purchase price and the interest rates together. So if interest rates go up faster than prices come down, your monthly payments will be higher than they would have had you purchased at the absolute peak. Again, we can't go back in time. We can only recognize what's happening and moving forward. So if interest rates are to continue to rise, it may be in your best interest to get into a new mortgage sooner than later. So if you are looking to sell and buy, as I said, everything is relative. Maybe moving something a little bit sooner could be the better move just based on the interest rates alone. Now, if you're looking to sell and only sell, now could be also a better time to do so, despite the fact the market is a little bit slow. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we are seeing prices decline. Now, I do think that we'll see them stabilize, so I don't think there's a need to rush in order to sell. However, if you're thinking about selling in the near future and you're ready to do so now, I wouldn't think that waiting is going to have too much of a benefit at this point. As I said, it is possible that prices could see another little tick upwards, though I don't suspect that happening. Now, if you're looking to buy into the market and just buy and not have anything to sell, so as a first-time buyer or an investment property, I would say you have a little bit more time on your hands to think about things. Again, we do want to focus on those interest rates because if those continue to go up, that is taking away from your overall affordability and it's increasing your monthly payments on things. So if you're ready to go now, it could be a great time because there's not a lot of buyers out there. There's not a lot of sales happening. It does give you more time and more control as a buyer than you would have had a few months ago. However, I don't think there's a big rush. As I say, I think prices are probably stabilizing for the next little bit here. So with stable prices, The only real pressure that you likely have is coming from the interest rates increasing. So if you are ready to make a move happen now, yeah, sooner might be better just based on the current market conditions and the interest rates being a little bit lower. However, if you think you're going to feel more comfortable waiting until the fall or next winter or even next spring, I don't think there's a big need to push. However, whenever it is that you're planning to make a move happen, it's never too early to start planning. So be sure to get in touch whether you're looking to sell, buy and sell, or just purchase. Even if it's 1, 2 years out, let me know. It's never too early to start making that plan. And that way, when we have the plan ready, once you actually are ready to go, it's a whole lot less stressful, a whole lot less chaotic, and your expectations are already set and we're ready to go. We just put your home on the market or find you that new home you're ready to go for, and everything goes nice and smooth. So I look forward to hearing from you soon, and thanks for tuning in.